Hello, everybody. We've got a show that promises to be mildly interesting for your listening and watching enjoyment. First, I talk to you about two really shitty reality shows and two really great movies. Come along with me. After that, Kim Bennett of Fidu joins the show. We talk subscriptions, legal tech, the white bread legal industry, and I found another generational hater of the Trump regime. Let's get it on. Finally, the Wheel of Justice is back. It's the summer edition. Now then, let's fandango. I'm not sure if I've ever shared this with you before, audience, but I hate reality television. This isn't a new thing for me. I've always hated reality television. I remember when Survivor came out, people were fucking locked in on that shit. I was in law school, there were parties. Every bar I went to had Survivor on TV, and my position was like, this is dumb. If I want to see people acting like assholes to each other, I will simply step outside. But now I'm stuck watching this uniquely horrible reality show. Maybe you've seen it. It's got the guy from The Apprentice on it, except he's older, stupider, makes worse decisions about hiring, and has somehow been given additional responsibilities. Not sure what's happening here. Oh, wait, I'm being told that Donald Trump is actually the president and was once before and was reelected despite the fact that he tried to overthrow the government. It seems like some questionable decisions have been made. This whole teleplay I've devised here kind of reminds me of the great scene in Back to the Future where 1955 Doc is trying to figure out whether 1985 Marty is insane instead of being a time traveler. And Marty tells him that Ronald Reagan is the president. And Doc goes, the actor? Yeah, that's me right now, except I'm like, the dipshit game show host who bankrupted a casino? I swear to God, I'd rather have 2015 Biff Tannen as president. He used less bronzer and actually applied it evenly. On Saturday night, Trump started an illegal war with Iran, and I thought to myself, that's enough internet for today, Jared. So I turned to one of my guilty pleasures. You see, I have a Fandango at Home account, formerly Voodoo, and if you don't know what that is, that's where you can buy movies right after they leave the theater for like $20. I'm really cheap, but I decided I would spend $20 on said movies, sometimes if I felt like it, as a form of retail therapy. And I'm not going to lie, it's been pretty fun. I've watched a lot of good movies that producer Evan DeSherry would scoff at, but he's a snob. So Saturday night, I rented Sinners, the new Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan joint. Now, I like both those dudes. Ryan Coogler's movies are usually excellent, including when he gets shoved into the marble machine to make Black Panther movies. And I've been a Michael B. Jordan fan since Parenthood. How about that? Also, controversial but true take, the Creed movies are better than the original Rocky movies. That's right, I fucking said it. Those are Ryan Coogler productions as well, starring Michael B. Jordan. Now, I love when people try new things, try to build new content that's not derivative or based on IP that doesn't happen enough anymore, frankly. And Sinners was like mostly a totally new thing. So I think that's cool. However, I was concerned. For one thing, I feel like period movies are hard to do. For another thing, Michael B. Jordan, the B stands for badass, like B.A. Baracus, in case you were wondering. He plays twins in the movie. And I don't love the history of the same actor playing twins. Non-Parent Trap division. Both Parent Trap movies, by the way. Plus, I think vampires suck. Not blood. They just suck. Well, I guess they suck blood, too. But vampires are the main antagonists in this movie. I can happily report, however, that I was pleasantly surprised. Sinners was fucking awesome. Michael B. was great. One of the best movies I've seen in a long time. Spoilers follow. That's a warning. Spoiler warning. Skip this part and move to the Kim interview if you haven't seen Sinners yet and you don't want to be spoiled. So, Michael B. Jordan playing twins. Phenomenal job. He played the characters differently enough that they seem like different people. Suspension of disbelief achieved. Also got a really good supporting cast. Haley Steinfeld, who's actually been in a lot of good movies, is one of the twins' girlfriends who can pass for white. Then you've got Wunmi Mosaku, whose name I probably butchered terribly, but she's the other twins' girlfriend. And she's a voodoo priestess. Basically, she's great. We got a Delroy Lindo appearance in this movie. He's a blues singer, and he's got some really funny lines. But the breakout star of the film was probably Miles Caton, who plays an aspiring blues singer, and he really drives the plot. So he's a cousin of the twins, and they're trying to protect him so he doesn't become criminals like they have become. They just have come back home to Mississippi from Chicago, where they were working for the mob, basically, when the movie starts. So they come back home, they're trying to start a juke joint, and they're raising up resources for that project at the start of the movie. That involves a shopkeeping family who help them, and they're also very fun. Another relative becomes a bouncer. He comes into play, and a whole host of friends and neighbors gather together. At the start of the movie, there are some really unbelievable tracking shots, and the cinematography across the whole movie is awesome. Now, once the juke joint starts going and they got a bunch of people there, probably the best scene in the movie is when Sammy, the blues singer, plays so well that he raises different generations of singers who physically appear in the barn and play alongside him, including a Jimi Hendrix coded rock star. This is really well done. You kind of have to see it to believe it. So things are going great. Everybody's having a good time, but then shit gets real. There's a very Irish vampire for some reason, but it's cool because he can sing Irish folk songs really well, as it turns out. And he gets wind of what Sammy can do. So he starts to bite some people in the area, and he says that he wants Sammy to raise some of his friends from the dead. So he basically says, give me Sammy, turn him over to me, or I'm going to turn you all into vampires. By the way, I love this angle. It's definitely a nod to A.P. Carter co-opting black music to kick off the country music genre. Well done. Of course, because this is partly an action movie, there is a third choice, which is that most of the people are turned into vampires, save for Sammy and one of the twins, whose name is Elijah. His nickname is Smoke. He apparently kills his twin brother, Elias, whose nickname is Stack. Smoke Stack. Well done. I like that. But there's one other problem. If the vampires don't get the last remaining twin who lives, the clan will. So it turns out that the guy who rented the barn to the twins to host a juke joint is secretly the local KKK leader, and his plan was to come out in the morning with his buddies and kill everybody. Only Smoke, the twin who's still alive, predictably instead kills all of them, like 30 clan members, just laces them up before he dies from a bullet wound himself. I got to tell you, it's always satisfying to see KKK members getting just slaughtered like that. Just like the Nazis in Inglourious Bastards, just all-time losers. Now, as his second to last act, Smoke sends Sammy off to Chicago to become a blues singer, and he ends up being played by Buddy Guy in the final scene. Yeah, I was surprised too. That happened 60 years later when the other twin, who everybody thought was dead, Stack, comes back with his girlfriend for a visit. Yes, they're alive. They're both vampires, and he tells Sammy his twin brother will let him live if he promised not to fuck around with Sammy. And scene, end of the movie. Excellent film. Check it out. Really good part at the end of the movie where they talk about their last day at the juke joint and stuff and how that was the only time they were free. Really good movie. You should check it out. Now, if that's not quite enough for you, and you're looking for a double feature, another one of my favorite movies, which I still own on DVD, actually, is the Coen brothers' Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, which is sort of a companion film to Sinners. The main differences being that there are no vampires in Oh Brother, and they soft pedal the race issues of the Depression-era South a bit. But the three escaped prisoners in that movie do fuck up a Klan rally. They launch into a musical performance, and they also pick up a talented musician who sold his soul at the crossroads to the devil, which is basically the old Robert Johnson myth. Of course, it's also different. It's set about 5 years later in time, deeper into the Depression. And instead of being based on vampire myths, it's based on the Odyssey. And there are exceptional themes on that trope, especially John Goodman's performance as a crooked Bible salesman named Donald Trump. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. That's Big Dan Teague is the character's name. My bad. There's more of a political angle at play as well, where there's an ongoing election side plot. And the ending is kind of Deus Ex Machina, when there's just a giant flood that wipes everything out. And the finale of Sinners, I think, is wrapped up and better executed, to be honest. Although most of the rest of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was fantastic. But the two movies pair nicely on many levels. And you could spend a worse 4 hours than watching these two films back to back. In fact, I may just do that this weekend. Now I just got to find my DVD player and fire it up. Now, as Penny says to Ulysses, I've spoken my piece, and I've counted to 3. Well, 4. Next up, it's Kim Bennett of Fidu. Let's tear some more shit up. Welcome back. Unfortunately, I've run out of things to say, which is awkward because it's a podcast. So I'm just going to paint the wall behind me, and then we can all watch it dry together. Are you ready? No, I'm bullshitting you. That sounds terrible. Let's interview our guest instead. How about that? My guest today, I don't know if we've ever done a podcast together, which is a damn shame, frankly, is Kim Bennett, founder of Fidu. How are you, Kim? Welcome.
I'm good, thank you. I don't think we have. I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally my bad. So feel free to internet masses throw vitriol my way, because we should have done this a lot earlier. So, like, you're known for several things, obviously, aside from being a badass, generally speaking. But
thank you.
Let's start with Fidu. So tell me if I fuck up the elevator pitch. That's a subscription management software for law firms. How did I do?
Yeah, that's pretty decent. Yeah, I would say we do that, but we're focusing on the client experience side. So managing what you think about the payments, but that is, to me, the easiest part of this. It's really like the delivery, the retention, repeat client work, and how does that actually build from just a payment to a model.
Okay, cool. So anything else you want to say about the software operations features that are available? And then I'm also interested to know, like, how did you come to join the company? Because I think that's an interesting story too.
Yeah, so we do all the features. Some new and exciting things are coming.
Tell me the new and exciting stuff, if you can.
Okay.
If you can.
Okay, well, I will tease it a little bit. So we do everything from engagement to disengagement. So we support that entire life cycle, and we really focus on the client's experience. So from the time they sign up, so you can build a subscription inside of Fidu, then you can manage it. You could do upsells. You could do, managing your usage. You can communicate. So think about all the things you could do right now if you had like a very level 1 portal, and then take that to a platform experience where you can do the full 360. And so we have some more clearly AI related features. We've released some AI stuff before, but we wanted to be more thoughtful about how we did it to make sure it isn't just a one-time thing or just like for the sake of saying you have AI, and really allow for it to support the business model of running a subscription and a flat fee business. So, so I'm really excited about that, and some of the things that we're doing, and some of the integrations that we're dialing up. So we integrate with things like Clio and Confido and LawPay and all the things that you can think of, and just continuing down. But we have a new version of our service builder that's coming out. So probably by this time it won't quite be released, but that's coming.
What's the old version of the service builder?
So it's a little
more
that work? What does that manual. Mean?
Okay.
So before it would, you could still come into Fidu and do it, but what our goal is to allow for you to bring your knowledge and let us take your knowledge, leveraging the theory that we know, that I've done with practicing, that I've done with coaching, now that we have the platform, and allow for you just to have a conversation with the platform so that it can design your version 1 subscription that you can then refine from there. So we really want to take some of the lift out of it. The biggest thing that I've always said that keeps someone from launching a subscription is just getting crap out there.
Yeah.
It's about to curse. Getting it out there, right?
This is a show where you can swear if you wish.
Okay, well, thank you. But you just have to get the crap out. Like, people don't do it. They tell me all the reasons why it doesn't work. And at the end of the day, it's just because you're getting stuck. And I'm a perfectionist in recovery, still trying to work through it. We were talking about it before. We even went live, but so that's what it's about. Getting people out of perfectionism and getting them to have their version 1 subscription. So right now you could do that in Fidu, but you do need to kind of build it out. And so what this will do is allow for you just to visualize it, talk through it, and not worrying about building all the things from the start.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's a jumpstart for a lot of attorneys.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Yes.
So you came about this honestly, like you were an advocate for subscription pricing for a while before you jumped onto the Fidu train.
Yes.
So
that's right.
You used it in your own law practice, which I think is still active at this point.
Technically.
Okay.
It's there.
So we surely have attorneys listening to this who don't use subscriptions or like any kind of alternative billing, just straight hourly.
Sad.
Beyond like the description of how the software works, like give me the pitch for subscriptions in general. Like, why would I do that if I was a lawyer?
Yeah, you want to have no accounts receivable. Like, how many people like to be the bank for your clients? I mean, like, I ran a subscription for almost 15 years, and I mean, counting today still, and I didn't have accounts receivable when I moved over. So I think that is your number one reason to stop being the bank. But beyond that, then it gives you time back, gives you freedom, gives you flexibility, gives you forecastability. That's what worked for me. So you can, if you like chasing money, if you like to not get paid, if you like to have the friction between your clients that comes from hourly billing, then stay where you're at. It's amazing. I get it. You like it. It feels good. But if you like to get paid on time all the time, if you like to remove the friction of having payment conversations, if you like to be very transparent about your pricing and not let it be a barrier to a client, but let them make an informed decision. And so that you can bring forecastability and predictability to your revenue, not just today, but for the next couple of months and beyond. Well, then, come to our world, flat fee and subscriptions.
I feel like you set up a straw man there. I don't feel like anyone actually wants any of that stuff.
I hope not. I don't know.
So I think like you've got the subscription builder. You've done it yourself. I think the biggest problem lawyers have in terms of subscription is what is it based on? Like, if can there be hours involved? Do you have to totally unplug from the hourly model? And then how would you do that? Is it project based? Like, what are the broad outlines people should be thinking about?
Definitely project based. I think hours are a metric for your productivity, not a metric for billing, right? Okay. Like, it just moves you in the wrong direction. If you wanted to trade time for money and you wanted to be on someone's clock, be an employee, right? But instead, you're a provider of a service, of a product or whatnot. So instead, be good about having internal metrics to help you understand what you need to get to your deliverables, get to your, of course, we can't promise things, but get to at least what you talk to, and your deliverable may not be what they liked, but it's at the end. And I think for the most part, what the issue is that we just don't treat ourselves like businesses. I mean, this is going to be nothing new, right? Like, people say it all the time, but the reality is, when we are designing law firms and legal businesses, we're just thinking, well, I'm just going to help you solve this thing. No, like, what's the end goal? What does it actually mean for the client? What are they trying to achieve? And then build systems and processes and products and projects around it to move them closer to that outcome. Even if they don't get to the end result, you've moved them, right? We don't promise things, but you should be moving people closer to the journey and to the outcome that they're looking to achieve. And if you're not, then that's a problem with your business. And what I would say is, yes, it's, if you're doing hourly today, if that's what you need to do to start transitioning, do it. Like, let that be your initial metric. But as you build the model, you'll stop making hourly be the thing you're thinking about and thinking more about, how do I accomplish this? How do I use better systems and technology and be more creative and more curious about how I show up for my clients?
You really are doing a good job not being a perfectionist. Just start regardless. Throw some hours in there.
Yeah, just start. I mean, like, if you have to.
Let me ask you this. So, it's not just subscription services necessarily. Like, you see lawyers adopting flat fees more regularly, products. Like, do you see people using Fidu or people that you talk to adopting like these alternative models?
Sure. I mean, so Fidu supports subscriptions, but subscriptions are just flat fees on steroids is how I talk about it. So essentially that just means like if you do a flat fee today, you can do a subscription, right? It's just reimagining how you package that flat fee into something that is both some level of strategy components plus some level of execution components, right? And if you can start thinking about how you show up to give advice on one hand and then you show up to do action items on the other, you can really start reimagining how you just put together something. So absolutely, flat fees, we support that. And in the same way we support subscriptions, because if we didn't, we wouldn't really support a subscription model. But I see people using Fidu interesting ways, which is always fun because, you know, I'm the type of person when I tested a bunch of tech, I stretch tech. So we see people stretching it to their needs, but it's built for a subscription of flat fee businesses.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like, I mean, really what you're trying to cobble together is a different value proposition for clients. And you could do that in a whole host of ways if you're creative.
Yep. Yeah. And I think like we're in the space now where a lot of us have focused on the high net worth or the very nuanced part of the law, or we're such in a small subsection of the law. And then the other end is like the do-it-yourself side, which is needed and is going to continue to grow. But there's this middle segment. We all talk about it, but what is the reality of the middle segment to the people who need to actually get legal services that happen day in, day out? And like they need they need somewhere in between, a little bit of done DIY with a little bit of done for you. And that's where Fidu comes in, right? Sure, we can do the completely high value, high net worth stuff that people do today in Fidu, sure, right? But I think the bigger gap, the thing that we've yet to solve, that we are really working on, is giving that middle ground, which is like, you know, that number we all talk about, 80% or whatever. Let's solve that and be more interesting and stop saying you can't price in interesting ways. You can, and the technology supports it today, and you might as well start freaking doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of, when I talk to people about like remodeling their pricing structure, I can't do that. Well, you can do fucking anything.
Yeah. like people will say to me, oh my God, well, I don't know what I'm going to get paid. Sorry about that. I was like, people would be like, I don't know what I want to get paid. And I'm like, well, you do. So, okay, let's put it in a time frame. Let's give it a month. How much you want to make this month, right? And if somebody said, hey, do X, Y, and Z, and they'll pay you $50,000 for the month. Could you figure it out? I'm sure you can figure it out. 100,000. Right. So find your number and then work, right? And like figure out how to build a business around that. Like, and just be honest, right? I think people don't know because we've been quite frankly lazy with the hourly model to just default back, right? Versus saying, no, how much time should this take me? Or how much, I only have 24 hours in a day and I'm not going to, well, if you want to work 24 hours, more power to you, not me. So if you want to work like a normal person and be healthy and be sane, then you're not going to work that many hours in a day. So how can you figure out a way to think about what is realistic, what is pragmatic, and then what do you need to do to be able to get the results that your clients are hoping for you to achieve with them?
Yes, it's cool to build something out, test it, iterate on it. Yeah. That's all okay. That's what business people are supposed to do. Yeah. Actually.
I mean, as long as you think of yourself as a business, as you're running a firm, because we are. But, you know.
Which is step one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so talked about AI stuff. Mm-hmm. Like everybody for years has been like, okay, now this is the thing that's going to kill the billable hour. Mm-hmm. It's over, but it's never fucking over. So is AI the thing? Or is it something else? Or is it a combination of factors?
I think AI has one of the biggest, it's a big momentum. It has a big opportunity to change. And I think it's not simply because of our access to it, but I think it's the public's access to it and then their expectations from it. And I think public perception of the law and the legal industry continues to shift, whether that's in corporate or, individual personal level of interacting with the law. And I think when knowledge becomes less of a barrier, and lawyers hate, well, someone can draft a contract on ChatGPT. You may not like the contract, but unless they have a freaking issue, they're going to use that shit and keep on going. And like, we have to start actually being realistic. I started my career in business. I didn't start in a firm. And every day inside the business, people are doing things that you would call legal. But the business operated, it's $1 billion, it's still moving and shaking, and it didn't fall apart. So I think AI will be a big transformation or transformative, like, what's the word I'm trying to think? it will power the change much faster than I think a lot of things could, because it's not something that we only have access to, right? And I think because the public has access to it, because there's so much momentum behind it, and that it has us reimagine what time actually means, and the way that we've built for this expertise that now, 80%, 70%, 50% can get started, you have to figure out another way to show up. So yeah, I'm someone that doesn't think it's going to kill law. It's just going to reimagine how we do law. And it's going to tell us that unless you want to bill $1,000 an hour, $2,000, $5,000 an hour, which sounds stupid, come with a better pricing structure that actually helps people get to an outcome and keeps you profitable. So it's not to say, I think actually if lawyers and law firms embrace this more with all the right checks and balances, I think actually we have the opportunity to make even more money, which, is...
I would agree. Like, $5,000 an hour sounds bad. I agree, especially to legal consumers. But I don't know about your experience. Most of the clients I've worked with who do subscriptions or non-traditional billing, they actually make more money. Yeah. And they work less. So 100%. I'm not a paid shill. That's what I see out there.
It's true. And I think it's because you've built in systems and processes to get things done, and you're trying to get a similar outcome. You're like trying to figure out, well, how can I, and that's what we're all doing in this thing, right? Okay, my client comes to me with this issue. How do I get them that similar great, amazing result I got for the next person? Well, you got to put some process and systems, some QA, some QC. So I feel like we've always touched on like such a small segment of the law, that this gives us the opportunity to touch on all the crap we never, ever touch on, that we never hear, like the things that touch the people's daily. What we impact are things that high net worth and high value companies really interact with. The other things we leave to pro bono, to justice pieces that is just not right. And I think this will allow for us to expand and impact more people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's funny the ethics opinions on AI are like, well, you can't charge made up hours if you're using AI, but like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe you should try flat fee billing. How's that for a novel concept?
Yeah.
When that's creeping into the ethics conversations, I think that's it. Like it's time to really consider it.
I think they're like, well, the only way this works is if you stop billing by the hour and you go back to how we used to as a profession and just come up with a better pricing structure.
Now, I don't want to alarm you, but you may have noticed there's a lot of old white dudes in the legal profession. Have you seen this?
I did not. I like...
Yeah, it's true. I don't know.
Who
I
knew?
just thought I would let you know. Spoken as a middle-aged, aging white dude myself. And I saw you post on LinkedIn a little while ago about like Black founders, female founders. Like not only are there not a lot of them, unfortunately, but there's also not a lot of spaces where maybe those founders feel comfortable. So I want to ask you a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Sure. Yeah, I think, we're in a space, first of all, in being Black in the legal industry as a lawyer, as someone who was in the IP space, I decided to be in interesting spaces in the law, first in traditional labor and then in IP, which you see very few Black people in either of those practice areas. And I think that it's no different in legal tech. But what does that mean? What does that mean when you're a founder trying to push the industry and trying to do things different? It means that you're asked stupid questions. It means that you're looked over. It means that like your funding doesn't get the same. It means that, someone with half-ass baked idea versus your years of experience, the half-ass baked idea gets the notoriety and the funding, really, what it boils down to, and not the exposure or the funding that is needed. And so I think what ends up happening is, I think a lot of Black people in this space and Black women in this space, and then the same could be said in other places. I think we've had to be creative. I had to be creative to grow my business, right? And so building a subscription business wasn't because I was like, oh, I'm going to build a subscription business. It was, I wanted to get paid on time. I didn't want to chase clients. I wanted to figure out how I can grow in my career post a market crash in '08. And so for me, it was a necessity that brought out how I got here. And I think a lot of times we're being overlooked when we actually have real solutions that can move needles that aren't just like fluff and a great for like show. Or then, what also happens is like, you have people who are maybe newer in your space that get notoriety and you're like, you want to have the conversations, but you also want to not be forgotten in the conversation, right? Because it's like, I think that happens a lot, and it's frustrating and it's irritating, and you see, whether it's in the funding, whether it's in conferences, whether it's in just like, it looks like, like we said, it's mainly white men that are speaking on a particular topic. Like, do better. I don't care what this administration is saying. Do better. Find more
people. Put a pin in that. We can talk about that. Yeah.
Right? Like, get more perspectives, because, I've been pushing subscriptions and flat fees for a long time. And in fact, I did it for many years when people told me it wouldn't work, and they kept on being naysayers, but I kept on still doing it. And so that's kind of if you want to have like the gumption and like the grit and all that to be a good founder, well, find the people that had to go through that. And a lot of times it's not going to look like the people that are always being lifted up in an industry. And so that's kind of, I mean, I can go on and on days about it, and it gets frustrating, but also then it becomes like the battery in my back to be like, well, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. Yeah. So, but you don't always want to have to operate that way, right? You want to be able to be like, yes, this works. Let me show you. Give me some funding, so yeah, all those things.
I mean, my big joke is like when people are like asking me to do panels, I'm like, oh, I'll bring some diversity. I'm a middle-aged white man as opposed to an elderly white man. Here I am. So it sounds like some of this is access to funding, but it sounds like some of this is platforming and visibility more than anything else. So if you're a legal organization, is this just about like finding people? Is it like, how would you go about like trying to provide more platforms for founders from different backgrounds?
I do personally. I try to lift people up as I grow, right? And try to bring people along, try to, push back when I see, a panel that doesn't look very diverse, and like, hey, what's happening? If you're running a summit, if you're running a conference, you have to ask yourself. So it's okay
to say something is what you're
say
saying.
Something. Yeah, like you have to say something, right? Because otherwise, I mean, I was on the board of conferences, and we said something. And it had to keep on saying things, and had to keep pushing back, and had to push that needle, because you don't think it's happening, but like if your default is to go to your friends and your friends all look like you, then you're not going to bring different perspectives, no matter what that is. And even if you have the best meaning. So I think saying something, bringing other people with you, for all diverse founders, apply to the things, because you do get, it feels like it's a lot of like work to continue to apply to get turned down, but apply, put yourself in the game, because it is what it is. Like we can't change everything, but I do think for those that have the access or the platform is to platform more people. Push yourself. There are organizations. Go to the National Bar Association, whole entire Black bar. You can find people, right? You can go to see where there are diverse founders, doing different types of tech and legal and beyond to support what we're all doing.
Yeah, and this is a larger national issue too. Like
it's a tech issue too. It's not just like legal tech.
It's definitely a tech issue for sure. And then we've also got this national environment now where, I mean, I think everyone probably knows my disdain for Trump, who's like the shitbird of all shitbirds, like just a terrible human being on every level. And now he's surrounded himself with hateful assholes in administration version 2.0. So one of my big problems is now you get these dickheads who feel like they can say whatever they want to anybody at any times, anti-women, anti-minority. And this is becoming more and more acceptable. I see it, my kids in school, like some of the shit kids say to each other in the last few months is nuts. Yeah. So that's a huge problem. Do you want to say anything about that? I think people probably know my feelings.
Yeah. I mean, I co-sign feel the same way. I think this is, the sad part is I remember being in law school thinking, oh, wow, you jerk that came to our Halloween party in blackface. You're going to be a lawyer. And like, these are the people who are now probably at somewhere in this administration. Right. Yeah. Well, hello. And doing and supporting and drafting these things. And so, I will say growing up, you hoped that things would get better. I would say back when Obama ran, I saw it shifting, particularly with people that I was like, really? And now I think we're in a space where we have to get out of this idea that like we can't talk politics. Like that's like uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah,
that's not good dinner table conversation. Like you need to, like we need to be comfortable with having disagreements on topics, but actually be based in fact. And so we're in this weird non-factual lie kind of situation where we have an administration that keeps on pushing really horrible, unconstitutional workarounds because they're not policy, right, I guess. And we have a lot of unfortunate people in our industry that are supporting the crap. And I really feel like, how can you be the top lawyer, the top in this country and be stating things that are blatantly unconstitutional? And the bar, particularly the Florida bar, needs to get their shit together to call her on account, because if any of us did what she did to a court, to any of that, we would have a hard time standing up and keeping our license. And so I think right now it's sad because, you're seeing it with kids. You're seeing people being emboldened to be hateful versus say, how do we figure out how our diversity makes us better? How our different ways of thinking makes us better? How, but I'm very vocal. Like, I think at this point, it doesn't change who I am. I'm always going to be who I am. Like, I get people say, well, you're raising money, or you have a tech app. What happens if someone doesn't want to fund you? You're like, well, do I want a racist funding me? I mean, that feels like you probably didn't like me anyway, right? Like, and if probably you're guided by money and we do what we're supposed to do, your lack of value self is still going to probably invest. So like, I think for me that we have to be in a place where we're going to, particularly as legal professionals, we are trained in this shit. We need to speak up. And if we're afraid to speak up, the people that aren't trained, of course, they're going to be afraid. And it just trickles down to the kids. And the kids are just parroting what, unfortunately, some ridiculous, racist, homophobic, sexist, transphobic individual in their life is saying. And if we don't protect people at the child and beyond ages, if we don't protect people who are people, then what the hell do we have to do here? Like, I will say, just to kind of, the due process conversation is driving me nuts. When people are like, should we all have due process? Should we not? I'm like, damn, our basic education needs to improve.
For 250 years, like, whatever.
I know. It's just like, we're in this place where, we need better civics education. We need at elementary, middle, junior, high school, we need to do better because it's showing up in the adults that lack common sense today. So
you got a lot of dumb motherfuckers out there who have no ability to think critically.
None.
And just lie upon lie upon lie. One thing I do want to say is, like, I thought that was very well said. The other piece of this is, like, I would like to see some of these boards of bar overseers start to get more aggressive about penalizing the attorneys who are working for the Trump administration.
I agree.
Because they are full of shit and they're breaking tons of ethics rules, and no one's calling them out on it.
And if they're not, you cannot hold any other lawyer to any other ethics rule. I'm sorry. If you're allowed to break the Constitution, if you're allowed to just bypass, if you're allowed to call for judges to be arrested and just do things, how are you then going to challenge a lawyer that, oopsie, did a little something on the side? Like, what's the line here, right? Like, I agree. I think, and I've said it. I actually have said it. I'm like, where are the bar associations? Where are you? Why are you quiet? It's unacceptable, right?
Too much silence on this.
Yep.
The social contract is falling apart, and this is not even a party-based issue at this point. This is like fascism versus non-fascism.
Yeah.
I'll be on the non-fascism team.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Like, you could be like a non-fascist conservative, a non-fascist Democrat, like the two non-fascist independent, non-fascist Green Party. Like, hello, let's all come together and agree that fascism doesn't work. Every time we get tagged in, like the first, we're going on a tangent, but this first Trump administration, I was traveling, and every time I would like check into a hotel, they're like, is this real? Is this going to happen? I'm like, unfortunately, it's real. And unfortunately, very well might happen.
Fascism doesn't work, once again, for like the 50th time. Okay. Shall we take a quick break, do something a little fun?
Sure.
All right, let's do that, and we'll be back with our last segment, everybody. Welcome to the Counter Program, everybody. Welcome back. It's a podcast within a podcast. This is a conversational space where we can address usually unrelated topics that I want to explore at a greater depth with my guests. Expect no rhyme and very little reason. Kim, you got a little preview of this, but we have a new recurring segment called The Wheel of Justice that I'll turn to now. This is based on the Wheel of Drinks at Bukowski Tavern in Boston, where you spin the wheel and you buy whatever drink the wheel dictates, because the wheel is wise as well as just. So, Kim, we're literally going to spin a wheel, and I'm asking questions based on what comes up.
Okay.
And by the way, this is the Wheel of Justice Summer Edition. Summer Edition. So it's summer questions.
I'm like looking to see. Okay, here we go.
Evan, hit it, please. Spin the Wheel of Justice. Yeah. All right. The wheel is spinning. The wheel is spinning. And we have, beach bums.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Beach bums is the first topic. Oh, this is a good one. Kim, multiple choice. What's more annoying at the beach? A young lady in a tiny thong or an old man in a tiny thong? I know my answer. This could be a French beach or a beach based in the United States.
Do I have to choose one, or can I be like neither?
You can choose neither. You could choose both. I am anti old man in a thong. Let me just come out and say that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you feel comfortable, like more power to you, because like you were able to get to that age in life that you should be able to do what the hell you want. I will just say like random, like my grandpa's 99, so I
really?
pray for him. Yeah, he's like he's really good. He's like he is like very coherent and everything, although now he's having some health issues, but like like he's Jamaican. He likes Ray and nephews. And one of my aunts was like, "No, don't let him drink." And I'm like, "He's 99. Let him have the fucking drink." like so, if he wants a drink, let him drink his Ray and nephews. So I'm 99, for do what you need.
Drink, throw that thong on, whatever you need
to
do.
That's right. Live your best life. Mm-hmm.
Sun's out, buns out. All
right.
That's right. Let's spin the wheel. let's see what else we got here on the wheel. That might have been the raciest question we had. So let's see what we got this time around. I got some good ones on here. Coneheads is our next topic. Kim, this one's very simple.
Okay.
Summertime. It's fucking hot out there.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite ice cream? Flavor, type?
Ice cream. My favorite ice cream flavor is right now I like Jenny's. What is it called?
I feel like the right now is the right part of this because ice cream.
Yeah, right now, right, exactly. Okay, so right now it would be some like kind of like a birthday cakey thing, but I don't think it's really what it's called. It's some type of like crunchy thing that's really good. It's like a vanilla with like a little like cake in it, also with a side of like cookie dough, like a mixture. I like to have two different types together.
Oh, you mix two ice creams together?
Yeah, because it's great. Yeah, well, you have like one scoop and the other scoop, and it's out of a waffle.
I like that.
Yeah, it's just I should know the flavor, but I don't.
I was in Cooperstown, New York, a couple weekends ago, and I want to give a shout out to Cooper's Barn, this ice cream place.
Cool.
And they do like soft serve with mix-ins in a waffle cone. Now that was my jam. They had like so you could get your ice cream and then mix in like chocolate chips.
Yeah. Yeah, like the one out here like comes with they have different flavors. Like there was I like that. I like to bring two together because I can never choose. So
I got you. That's fair. Well, yeah. So I think we have a theme here. Like not opposed to anyone doing whatever they want on the beach. Get whatever ice cream you want.
That's probably my normal way of life. Like, do you? I'm here to support you. Doing you.
All right, good. We're supporting freedom here on the show. Let's spin the wheel again. Let's see what we got on the Wheel of Justice Summer
Edition.
Freedom
over fascism. Just saying.
There's our theme. All right, so we got picks or it didn't happen. Picks or it didn't happen.
Oh, no.
No, this is not too bad, actually.
Okay.
What's the worst summer vacation photo you ever took and why?
Oh, the worst summer vacation photo I've took and why? Huh. Like, what's the worst? I just came back from vacation. So what would be a terrible picture I just took? it would probably be me trying to take this is terrible worse, but recently I just tried to take a picture and it was like I couldn't actually get it. So it wasn't me, it was like the ground. So that's not really bad. Like, you thought you were doing it and it wasn't
that's
right.
pretty
So
bad,
that's not,
actually.
yeah. Or it's like
that's not
moving
great.
too much. Yeah. So like, what's my worst? I wish I took a picture of like someone falling out of something like when you were doing, but I was holding on.
I feel like that's have you ever taken a picture where you've fallen out of something before?
No, but I wish I would have taken
of someone else.
Is that terrible?
That's like
because like when they were like trying to hold on and then they like flew off. I did save someone one time from drowning. He doesn't like that story, but it's true.
Do you want to share it?
No, it was just like they couldn't really swim that well, and like they fell off, and like I jumped in because I thought I was a lifeguard.
And you saved someone, so that was actually a thing that happened.
He wouldn't call it saving, though. I would call it saving.
My favorite thing is going to Disney World and watching the new dads like face plant with their strollers trying to get off the buses.
Ooh.
I could literally do that all day long.
Ooh.
It's one of the best things ever.
Ooh. That feels
all right, let's spin the wheel. Next question. I think we got rent free. Next question is rent free. Kim, for those folks out there planning vacations, where do you prefer to stay on a summer vacation? Airbnb, hotel, resort?
Airbnb is a hell no. I'm a germaphobe, so no thank you. I just don't think they're cleaned. I like a resort, but I like it to be really like nice. So if I probably had to choose, it'd be a hotel that had access to things I could do off hotel grounds. But if it's resort, it should be nice with a great beach. So resort or hotel, hell no to Airbnb because it's just not clean enough. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not an Airbnb person myself. I think the whole reason you go on vacation is so that other people can take care of your shit for you.
Yeah, I don't want to do all the crap.
Which is, I'm very much on your wavelength there.
I'm not a jerk when I go places. I definitely like to leave it tidy when I'm gone. But like, I'm not trying to do all the Airbnb rules. No. Yeah. Plus, that's a whole kills all types of industries. So, nah.
Right there with you. Kim, I had a real pleasure chatting today. Thank you for coming on the show. We've got more Wheel of Justice questions if you come back. And we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to our latest guest. That was Kim Bennett of Fidu. To learn more about Fidu, visit fidulegal.com. Let me spell that for you. It's just a made-up word. FIDU legal.com. FIDU legal.com. fidulegal.com. Now, because I'll always be a 90s kid just bumping Hadaway in my 1980 Mazda 626 with the idle kicked up to 11, whose true passion is burning CDs for anyone who would listen. I'm now just doing the modern version of that, which is creating Spotify playlists for every podcast episode that I record, where the songs are tangentially related to an episode topic. This week's playlist is a smattering of old-timey music. So turn up the Victrola, and it's sponsored by Dapper Dan's Pomade. It's not FOP, god damn it. I'm just kidding, by the way. Dapper Dan is not real, not even an actual company, and it has no sponsored shit. Join us next time when I see if I can get up to the second knuckle